A lot of GUIs these days have dynamic text, and that dynamic text needs to change if it gets a special message pumped into it. But oftentimes it's really probably going to stay the same throughout your model. For example, titles of things or static messages that don't get updates as the interface runs. But eventually they do need to get updated because the language switches, right? Well, for the sake of this example, I've kept it very simple. Artist and song are going to change languages. That's done via the use of the language object. The language object is quite simple. It's kind of, if you've seen the skin object video, it's very similar. It's a little object that you drag in from insert, from the model gallery, special function language. And here's a default one. I don't need that one, so but I just wanted to show you where it came from. So I'll cut this one because I already have two of them. They've just been changed to blue color. And all these language objects are doing is sitting here in my model so that they can be told where to look for the text file, the language text file, and then when to load it. And just like the skin objects in the skin object video, they do come with a little piece of stimulus that when you click on it left down, it does the load event. But of course, just like with the skin object, if you don't want to click on it in run mode, you can pass this via the API, this event name, and send it a value, or you can manually change it yourself. And as I change that value, did you notice these pieces of text went from English to French? And again, I can do this in run mode with simple clicks back and forth. Artist and song to the French equivalent there, right? All right, and so you see what's happening. Now you want to maybe know how it's happening, right? Well, initially, if for all dynamic text that you want to change in your model, you can get a list of that quite easily by doing export, configuration files, and language file. And then you can choose with checkboxes what to include or not include in it. But essentially it creates just a plain text file, and on each line it tells you that you've got a text IO and what it's currently holding. For example, if I were to double click to focus in and select this text object here, you could see that its current text is artist colon. So in the text file for the language file, it would have the object ID of that text IO, and I'm sorry, not the object ID. It would have the underscore text animation of this text IO and its current, just exactly like that on a line of text. So let's go prove that concept. Look at what we get when we export a language file. And for the sake of this example, I did keep it simple, just 2 lines. But the more dynamic text you have in the model, the more lines this you will have. So let me open up English and French.txt. Okay, and you can see that they're the same text animation names, but different double-quoted strings for their values. That's all a language file is. And we've taken things like this and put them into Excel to create a macro to make these files from one column per language or something like that. So you feel free to modify and generate new text files like this format in whatever way suits your workflow the best. You could obviously just modify it here in Notepad and save it out a different language too if you want. The idea is it's very simple. Externally referenced text gets loaded into the language object and gets shown when it is told to load its file. That is the language object in Altia Design.